Welcome, Mzansi. You are listening to Farmers Inside Track, proudly brought to you by Food for Mzansi. Officially, this is the world's best podcast for 2024, as awarded by WANEFRA, the global organization for the world's press. I'm your host, Dawn Numdu, and today we focus on an increasingly important topic for modern agriculture, farm digital safety. As technology continues to revolutionize the farming industry, it also introduces new challenges and vulnerabilities. To help us navigate these complexities, we have Ziphezinhle Gabuza, also known as Boy Z, an agritech entrepreneur. In this episode, we discuss the threats farms face in the digital age and how you can protect your agricultural operations from cyber attacks.
Ziphezinhle, it is so great to have you join me here on the Farmers Inside Track podcast. Many know you as Boy Z. It feels weird to use your full name, to be honest. Welcome to it. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to be able to pick your brain today. And you are an agritech entrepreneur. So you have a company that is driving innovation and specifically focusing on innovative ideas for farming practice connected to technology. Maybe you can just start us, off with telling us more about you. You have quite a bit of background in terms of agriculture. You've done some groundbreaking work in drone technology. You've also traveled abroad. You worked in Australia for a while. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about your journey within agriculture and also just more about the work that you've been doing over the past few years.
So I'm from Inungu in KZN. It's a small rural area just between Dundee and Riot. So I grew up in the rural areas there. But when I was in grade 7, my mom wanted to take me to an agricultural school because she was a teacher. So I just wanted me to have the best opportunity. So my mom took me to Fried Overland. So that's when I was first introduced to commercial side or scientific side of agriculture, even though I grew up in a farming family. So when I got into it and I understood why we did things we did, I just got into it more and I loved it. And in fact, that's when I really got the idea. In our school, we had the opportunity to do almost all the different types we did. I started, I think in grade 8, I did vegetable farming. And then in grade 9, chickens, layers, and pigs, if I'm not mistaken. And then in grade 10 until matric, I just focused more on the beef production. That's when I kind of just started like the beef production part of it. So I left high school and studied in the University of Free State. I was just so eager to start working that in my second year, I dropped out of school and went to work on a farm in Paris. And I was just a farm assistant and I was just working there, just trying to get experience. But then that's where the ideas started popping out. And I had the opportunity via Future Farmers, the organization that I'm currently a part of. I had the opportunity to go to Australia and I worked on a beef cattle station where I started off as a driller station hand and then I moved to a senior station hand. And when I came back from Australia, I threw Future Farmers again. I was not working. I couldn't get jobs and stuff like that period. I think it was about 2-3 months. I was doing a lot of job interviews for farm manager roles, but I couldn't get the job. Until Judy from Future Farmers asked me if I wanted to do a drone license. So I decided, why not? I've never met anyone who's done a drone before. So I saw it as an opportunity. Went through the process of application and I got picked up by a company called Texas, and that's when the technology part of my career started. And I got into drone. I was a commercial agricultural drone operator, and then I moved a transition from there, and then I moved to Free State to research drones in livestock production. And then after that, I just got into software now. And that's how everything started mixing together. Currently, we have a system that is being used by farmers to record keep their farming operations. We also have a project management system that we currently licensing out to stakeholders who use it for their project management.
Sounds absolutely amazing. And I didn't know you were part of Future Farmers. I absolutely love the work that Judy's doing. I remember the first time I entered into the agricultural sector, they were one of the first people that I spoke to, that I met, that I engaged with. I remember one of the first female farmers, Karishni Naika, She was one of the first women farmers through the program. I'm still in contact with Karishini. So many amazing people that I met, that's connected to Future Farmers. So yeah, just a shout out to them as well for putting you on this amazing path that you've been on in agriculture. It sounds really awesome. Now, more to the topic of today. So obviously you are an agritech entrepreneur. You have your company, and I think the important thing and the topic we're focusing on today is farm digital safety. And I think for those that might not even understand the concept in itself, maybe you can just kick us off with what is farm digital safety about? The next question is also just what are the most common digital threats that modern farms face? Because everyone's talking about technology. We've had discussions about it on our podcast on Gather to Grow. But maybe for those that might be new to the topic, can you just share a brief overview? Thanks.
When we talk about farm digital safety, we refer to the practices and the technologies used to protect the farm's digital system. So as we in the fourth industrial revolution, most of operations, businesses are going to start moving to cloud-based systems and stuff like that. So when we talk about farm digital safety, we are talking about the process of cloud, computer, IoT devices, passwords. As we're going to transition in the next few years, a lot of farmers are going to be moving their manual work to digital. So we just want to give tips on what to look out for and how to maybe set up their digital.
Even in our previous conversations, there is a kind of movement towards digitization. We see it in how farmers operate generally, their farming practices, especially large-scale commercial farmers and even, smallholder developing farmers. They use technology, but in a different space, different types of technology. And I don't think anybody is saying no to it anymore. They're welcoming it more, which is a good thing. Question around how the threat or impact that kind of digital threats can have on operations and data security generally when it comes to the day-to-day operations on a farm. So, how do farmers protect their data from cyber attacks, ransomware or phishing attempts that might come about? And if you can also just explain these concepts for people that might not understand it as well. Thanks.
The main basic tips that we can possibly give to farmers is that they must use reputable service providers. That's the first thing. So setting up your digital infrastructure, especially on the basis of maybe like a Google, Amazon, those reputable companies, actually is one of the most important things because these guys have a proven track record of security. Even though they might still have some gray areas, but they are the leaders in software security and having systems that protect their users from, for example, from cyber security threats and stuff like that. The main thing I would advise farmers is to build their infrastructure on reputable companies, and then from there on, always to ensure that they use two-factor authentication so that if maybe they cannot recover their password, they have another alternative that will recover their passwords for them. Also, this helps with if someone is trying to breach maybe your emails, they have to go through tools, and this can prove to be a bit difficult or challenging for people who are trying to hack into data sources and stuff like that. Also, another important part is to understand that IoT devices, when we talk about IoT devices, we are talking about the devices such as drones, cameras, and phones, laptops. These are all IoT devices. These devices can also act as a gateway for cyber security threats and stuff like that. So you must always ensure that your software is up to date, and you always keep updating your hardware also, so that you stay in the forefront of the security that is being developed by those companies that provide the IoT devices. Those are just the main tips I think we could give farmers for setting up their cyber or their farm digital systems.
And then another element is obviously it's not just about the farmer, but there are employees on the farm that also have to kind of, maintain digital farm safety on the farm. So what role do employers play, and also just farmers or farmer owners, and understanding the training element of the people that work alongside the farmer And so how do you kind of train them? Do we come to someone like you to say, I'm Farmer Dawn? Farmer Dawn has livestock farm. She's farming with cattle, and she wants to understand how to encourage her employees to think more in terms of digital farm safety. How do you go about it?
For digital safety, actually for farmers, I would advise for them to have a program. But that's a program for, just like you would have a farm safety program, a farm digital safety program will also be very important, because educating farm employees about cyber risk is very important, so that they can be able to recognize like scamming emails, also securing their devices to prevent the security breaches. It's important that the farmer invests time and energy in setting up all of those programs, so that their employees who are working with their digital infrastructure can be able to secure them from any breaches, and also not to click on scam emails, because that's usually the common way on which cyber attacks happen, from scam emails and links that are not recognized. In this world where we're getting a lot of artificial intelligence systems, so you need to train yourself so that they understand that they cannot just upload or download anything from the internet and put it on your servers, because that could be a gateway for cyber threats. For example, in Bangladesh, and there was a story just a few months ago where the Bank of Bangladesh nearly lost $1 billion just from a cyber hacker sending a CV to the company, and then when the employees clicked on and accessed it, it opened up the gateway for the hackers to go into the bank's security. It's important that our staff know everything about cyber security and stuff like that. That's why I would say it's important to establish that program. And you can come to guys like us who understand, or just any IT company that understand how to protect data and stuff like that. And this could be very essential for farmers.
And obviously understanding the threat in itself and the damage that can be done is also an important element to it. I mean, to lose that much money, it's absolutely crazy.
From a CV link.
Just from a CV link. And I get these scamming emails. It comes to even to my mailbox. I'm just like, nope, I know when to flag it. It goes. I'm just like, no, thank you. Not today.
They're becoming very more intelligent, because the hackers now are using bots. So you can build an artificial bot that just keeps on sending the emails, phishing. So it's important that you know what a scam looks like, or setting up the right file.
But not everyone is aware, and they're so sly with it these days. But thanks so much for that update, Boise. Now, in terms of regular updates, how important is it to regularly update software for farmers and when it comes to digital systems? And are there any risks associated with using an outdated system? And how can these risks be mitigated?
The technology develops very quick. So every week or every day, there's certain development that are always made in technology. So most of the time, we find that there's a better security product that is being introduced in the market. The company adopts that security measure into the system, then they would upload it into their next version upload. So whenever you get that update your system notification, that is because they have done some development on the previous versions and they would like to improve them. Most of the time, it includes the security measures. So if you stay with the outdated one, you are most likely vulnerable to attacks, because they might have seen there was a gray area in our previous version. We have closed that gap. But if you're still operating on the old version, you're vulnerable to those attacks. So it's important that we update you. You update the software, not just on your laptop, also on your IoT devices, on your drones, on your cameras, on your sensors, all of this stuff. As if you update, you get the latest features that the service provider is developing that could actually improve your farming digital safety.
Thanks so much for all of this information. I think things that you think people should be in the know about, but then maybe they're not even aware. And a lot of these administrative, technical aspects of your farming business may possibly be overlooked, because farmers do so many things, and especially if it's a smaller business, and that's always important to kind of take note of. You spoke earlier about the IoT, the Internet of Things, and how can farms securely integrate, IoT devices into their operations? I think you touched on this briefly in the beginning, but if you can just go over it again and kind of what are the best practices to ensuring that IoT devices do not become vulnerable entry points for cyber attacks?
First thing, like I said in the beginning, is to use a reputable service provider. It requires a bit of research because there's a lot of companies that are developing. Technology is still a very open space. There's a lot of companies that are example, are developing and trying out new products. I might not be aware of the full threats my system could pose, but as I continue to develop, I can get better. But to be safe as a small farmer, and also because of cost reasons, I always advise using reputable companies. For example, in the camera industry, it's good to use a lot of the Ziphezinhle, the Door brands. These are usually the Chinese ones, but they're very good with their security measures because they are very advanced in their development. The next one is also to always ensure that you use the latest software with your devices so that they do not act as gray areas or breaches, and just to continually, it's like every 3 months, just to check on the systems. Are there any new updates and stuff like that? But most of the time, a month or two, the companies will release a new version. So always try to keep updated with Google so that your IoT devices do not become like a gateway for your farm digital system. And for especially cameras and Wi-Fi can be a good entry points for cyber security attacks.
In terms of just recommendations from your side, and I would like to just specifically talk about safeguarding sensitive data such as financial records, crop data from, unauthorized access. What encryption or backup strategies would you recommend for farmers?
First thing, farmers need to set up their data server. It could be a physical one, or some farmers prefer hardware as a data backup solution. I still use it. I have external device, but I combine it with also a cloud solution. So I store some of my data on the cloud. I store some of my data on hardware. The farmers need to first establish a data storage server, and then that data storage server needs to be from a reputable company. Personally, I like Amazon Web Services, but Google is also very good. We have this company that have a reputable cloud solution, but also you find small companies that are actually local that can help you with creating a cloud solution or a data storage solution. Also, privileges. So the nice thing about cloud system is that you can give privileges. Ask your service provider what privileges they need. For example, the owner of the business will have certain privileges that the employees of the business will not have access to. So some documents the owner will have access to, and the employees won't have access to. So use that function of privileges. This also helps a lot. Use two-factor passwords with badges regarding your information. And also, I would say just regular updates also on your cloud. When the storage is running out, get extra one and delete unnecessary things. And do not set your cloud storage as a default setting for uploading information. Just use the computer as a default, and then from there on, if that information runs to storage your cloud, then move it from the cloud. So then you can first see what you are uploading to your cloud. So those are just a few tips I would give.
Just as we wrap up the conversation, I just want to talk briefly about the legal implications that farmers should be aware of regarding digital safety and data breaches. And then the last thing I wanted to ask you was just around, what do you foresee the future of, farm digital safety looking like?
An ever-evolving landscape especially with the POPI and all of that stuff. So one of the things I can say to farmers is that they need to understand, for basic example, is like accept cookies. Accept cookies just essentially means you allow us to take information about yourself so that we can understand your behaviors, so that we can cater your experience much better, which plainly just means we can take your data and sell it to advertising companies. They must check which websites they allow for them to take their information. It needs to be websites or companies that they know is reputable and they're working with them. They do not just upload their information to anywhere. It's not really necessary. To not upload sensitive data into third-party websites and stuff like that. So keep that information private, keep it locked, and not just share any sensitive data over the internet. But if it's banks and stuff like that, then for sure you can share that information with them. But make sure that you are speaking or you're communicating on the right portal and stuff like that. And the legal part of things is be careful because there's so much, even us technology people, some things we don't understand because the technology is moving so quick and the legal implications are usually a bit behind. So the farmers need to be careful on where they upload their information and what they accept people to track about them and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of really important information that you can get from just one farmer's behavior. And we can use the information for any other.
Absolutely great. I think I understand it a lot better. And I also need to just thank you for your time and for sharing all of this information with us. And then how can people connect with you if they want to know more about what you do?
I'm mainly on LinkedIn. That's mainly my main communication channels from Ziphezinhle Gabuza on LinkedIn.
Thanks so much for your insights, Ziphezinhle Gabuza, also known as Boy Z, an agritech entrepreneur. For more insights on optimizing your agricultural practices, visit www.foodformzansi.co.za. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with fellow agriculture enthusiasts. From me, Don Numdu, our technical producer Megan van der Vent, and the rest of the hashtag Team Food from Zanzi. Until next time, happy farming.
Life in South Africa can be a lot. I mean, scroll through Twitter for a minute and tell me I'm wrong. Thank God for South Africans though, right? We're inspiring, and even on the bad days, we fight back with a smile. That's why I love Food for Mzansi so much. We're not ashamed to celebrate the ordinary unsung heroes who work every day to put food on our nation's tables. Go to foodformzansi.co.za and never miss an inspiring story.